I found a hotel key in our dishwasher. I didn't know the dishwasher could confess. It wasn't even the top rack, just the cutlery basket where we throw the ordinary metal of daily life. Spoons, a fork that lost one tine to a stubborn steak, the bottle opener that knows the birthdays of our friends. The hotel key card lay there against the mesh, blue and self-satisfied, the words "welcome back" winking as if we were old friends. I took it out with 2 fingers like something sleeping I didn't want to wake. The card was from the Indigo on 3rd. I know that hotel because the coffee shop where I roast beans, my name on the bag in handwriting that tries to look casual, delivers there every Tuesday. I've walked through that lobby hauling a sack of Sumatra, nodding at the doorman who doesn't nod back. I didn't find it because I was snooping. I found it because I was unloading plates, doing the chore that has the decency to feel like progress. When I set the card on the counter, my wife, Jenna, came in with her hair wrapped in a towel and her phone pyramid balanced on a stack of mail. She saw the card and made a face I recognized from when we're watching a show and someone says the exact wrong thing at the exact wrong time. "That's leftover from a work session," she said, voice casual as a grocery list. "We rented a room for the afternoon because the office AC is broken again." "Which office?" I asked. It came out lighter than I felt. "Design," she said. "The one with the old elevator and the guy who drums on his desk like he's trying out for a band nobody asked to form." She flicked water from her fingers into the sink and gave me the smile she uses to apologize for schedules. I should have thrown that out. "You put it in the dishwasher," I said. "Humor is my first language when I'm scared. Was it dirty?" She laughed correctly. "I meant to hide it in the trash," she said, dropping the towel over the chair, and then she caught herself. "I meant throw it away." There are moments when somebody you love bumps into the furniture of a sentence and both of you hear it. I watched her put her hair up, watched the pulse in her neck make a moderate claim about time. I said nothing because I didn't trust the versions of me that answer too fast. She left for drinks with the team, 30 minutes later in a dress I like to remember. I cleaned the coffee grinder for tomorrow and turned the hotel key over in my hand until it began to feel like a coin with a bad magic trick on the other side. At 7, I put on a shirt that smells like roasted sugar and walked to the Indigo. I wasn't there to hunt. I was there because not knowing is a room with no windows, and I've never liked stale air. The lobby looked like money pretending to be easy. Plants that don't grow in this climate had learned not to complain. A couple in matching sneakers took selfies with their heads tilted the same way. I sat at the bar because bars are designed for witnesses and people who want to practice speaking before the important part. "What can I get you?" the bartender asked. He had a mustache that suggested decisions. "Do you do an old-fashioned with Demerara?" I asked. A small test. He nodded like a patient teacher, and I fell in love with the idea that competence was contagious. While he built the drink, a woman took the stool 2 down from mine and placed a battered notebook on the bar with the careful disrespect of someone who uses things. She looked like absence made into a person. Clean, precise lines. No jewelry but a thin gold hoop in each ear. The kind of face that gets called interesting by people who don't know what to do with it. "Long day?" she asked without looking at me. Her voice had the steady voltage of someone who has already survived worse than conversation. "Long enough to order whiskey politely," I said. She tapped the notebook. "I'm Leela," she said. "I don't talk to strangers, but I talk to people who order well." "Ethan," I said, telling the truth about my name because lies feel sticky in hotel light. "I roast coffee for a living." "That explains your shirt," she said. You smell like a bakery with opinions." I liked her immediately for making me laugh in a room that wanted me to be tragic. The bartender slid the drink across. It tasted exactly like the kind of mistake a man can live with. I told Leela what I liked about the Indigo's lobby: the lamp shades, not the lamps, the way the piano in the corner was never quite in tune. And she told me she was a copywriter who wrote promises for brands that didn't deserve the poetry she gave them. "Why are you here?" she asked finally. It wasn't nosy, it was practical. You don't come to a hotel alone at 7 without bringing something that needs boarding. "I found a key card in my dishwasher," I said, and then watched the sentence perform itself on the bar between us. "Ah," she said, not "uh-huh." "And you wanted to see if the room still recognized it." "It's easier to drink a thing than to imagine it," I said. "Sometimes," she said, "sometimes imagining keeps you kind." She snapped her notebook open to a page with a list titled, "Things I Will Not Do When I'm Tired." Number 3 was text men with wives. Number 6 was call something fate when it's just convenience. I swallowed a smile. "Do you always eavesdrop on the truth?" I asked. "I collect it," she said. "It spends better than money." I looked over my shoulder like a cliché. That's when I saw Jenna walk through the revolving door with a man I knew only through the outlines of stories, her colleague Theo, whose name shows up in sentences that wear cologne. They weren't touching. They were not touching. She was in the dress I like to remember. The sight of it on her body in this place felt like watching a song I loved play at a party I wasn't invited to. Leela, damn her, didn't turn to look. "Do you want to leave?" she asked. "No," I said. "I want to be the person who can stay." "Then stay," she said, "but keep your cruelty on a short leash." They took a table near the window. Theo put his phone face down like a person in a commercial about priorities. Jenna laughed the laugh she uses when she's trying to make the room believe her shoulders are lighter than they are. She didn't see me. Or she saw me and chose the kind of not seeing that keeps the night moving. I could have marched over and made a scene. I could have performed the version of masculinity that gets clicks. Instead, I took a breath and texted, "How are the drinks?" She glanced at her phone, wrote back, "Loud, be home by 10." The lie fit neatly in the pocket of my phone where people keep parking stubs. "What are you going to do?" Leela asked, because she had to say it out loud so I could hear myself answer. "I'm going to finish my drink," I said, "and then I'm going to ask for the truth the way I ask for wholesale prices. Clearly, without the part where I pretend not to care." Leela lifted her glass toward some invisible mercy. "Good," she said. "And remember, there are only two kinds of people in a hotel lobby, those avoiding a conversation and those looking for one. Decide which you are." They didn't stay long. A storm muscled up against the glass and the sky developed opinions. When they stood to leave, Jenna's hand brushed Theo's sleeve like she was wiping at a thought. It wasn't intimacy. It was choreography. Sometimes choreography is worse. I left a tip big enough to feel like optimism, told Leela thank you in the tone we reserve for strangers we know will never justify, and walked out into a rain that chose me on purpose. I didn't follow Jenna. I walked home along the streets where the city lifts its skirt to avoid puddles. At the apartment, I put the hotel key on the kitchen table like evidence and waited for the jury to convene. She came in at 9:48, punctual, damp, beautiful in the exact way that made my fear feel silly and my love feel serious. She saw the key. She exhaled the way a person exhales before stepping into cold water. "I should have told you," she said, "earlier when it was a boring truth." "Is there a less interesting version?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "Theo is a coworker. We had 2 drinks. We talked about a campaign and about how being praised for being good at your job feels like someone feeding you salt. I booked the hotel room last week because the office is uninhabitable and I needed somewhere quiet to fight with fonts. She made a helpless gesture with her hands. I didn't sleep there. I didn't kiss anyone. I didn't do anything I'd have to file a report about. But I didn't tell you because I liked being a person no one expected to account for every hour. And that is not how marriage works if you want it to last. I believed her. Not because I'm a saint and not because I wanted to. Because the version of her in that lobby looked like a woman rehearsing a version of herself she had not decided to play. Because the lie she chose, the team, was the diet version of deception and nobody subsists on that for long. Because when you roast coffee long enough, you trust your nose. I'm angry, I said. It felt like opening a window. Be angry, she said, and the relief in her voice made me put my hand on the back of a chair, the way a person does when he is trying not to make speeches. What are we going to do? I asked, because the marriage is the we and the do and the going too. Make rules we don't resent, she said. Not the kind that sound noble on a podcast, the kind that let us cross the kitchen without turning into lawyers. We wrote them on the back of an old receipt because gods like irony. No secrets that start as good stories. No hotel rooms alone unless the other person knows and approves and gets grandparent rights to veto the wallpaper. No meetings that require we pretend to be single even for the duration of a toast. No punishing with silence. Touch each other in daylight at least twice a day. Ask for what you want without setting the other person up to fail. Tell the truth when it's small. And one more, she said. If either of us wants to be wanted by other eyes, we say it out loud and ask for the why underneath it. That's the worst one, I said. That's why it goes on the fridge, she said, and her smile didn't try to make it easier. We didn't make love, we made tea. Steam made the kitchen a small weather event. She leaned against me while the kettle sang. Her body felt like a new language I remembered enough to be dangerous in. We had the kind of kissing you can show on the internet without losing your sponsor, hands in hair, breathing like we found it and might be asked to give it back. Then we stopped before anything needed a rating. I slept anyway. In the morning, I delivered coffee to the Indigo like I always do. The doorman nodded this time, which I chose to understand as cosmic approval. Leela was in the lobby with her notebook. She held up a hand. I waved back and didn't cross the room because some kindnesses are one-night hotels, and trying to live in them ruins the lobby for everyone else. Back at my shop, I wrote a new description for our house blend, less adjectives, more verbs. A regular came in and said I looked rested. I told him the truth in a way that didn't embarrass either of us. My dishwasher started talking, I said. I started listening. Weeks later, Jenna and I checked into the Indigo on a Saturday with overnight bags and a vow to use the bed for sleep and the desk for talking. We ordered room service we didn't finish and wrote each other small letters on hotel stationery like teenagers pretending to be important. The city rained politely and then stopped. We set the key cards on the nightstand where we could see them. Before we left, I slid one into my pocket on purpose, not to hide it. To remind myself that what matters is not whether a door can open, but who you invite inside. If you're waiting for a scandal, I have only this: a card in a dishwasher, a lobby where I decided not to be theatrical, a stranger who spoke like a lighthouse, a wife who chose to tell me the boring truth before it learned to be interesting. If you want more drama, I can point you to better bars. If you want a lesson, I can offer this one small thing. When something strange shows up in your silverware, don't assume it's a weapon. Sometimes it's a handle.